people in this. Imagine you're one of two people in the same place, each looking at what should be the same empty scene. But while one person sees a cat, the other sees a dog. But neither is there. Spooky. No, in fact. This is so normal that no one seems to ever think about the other's inner visions, much less the properties that the pictured. Animal and deep lore and art. In this model, this difference in what they see is because each person has their own unique you, shaped by their thoughts, beliefs, experiences, and pivotal choices. In this model, the cat and the dog represent how each person's mind manipulates the same spiritual or imaginative force, called you here. Each then uses this force to shape you into an animal visible only to the one who forms it. The interaction in this framework, the interaction of light and darkness forms not only the material world we experience, but also the phenomenon of substance you. The vastness of the material universe exists within a narrow field where these two infinite forces compress and meet at the scale of a photon. Just as an electron experiences pushback from a magnetic force, so too does the interaction between light and darkness create a repulsive effect at equal speeds. This produces a thin, almost static layer of matter, a field of existence where light and darkness seem to touch, generating the conditions necessary for creation. This process, however, is more complex than a simple collision. The apparent contact between light and darkness is an illusion, a seeming touch that generates substance you, the underlying force of perception and creation. In this interaction, darkness is infinite, older, and more passive, while light is dynamic and ever striving to reach the absence of itself. Both forces play essential roles in the generation of reality, but their interactions, though equal in strength, are marked by distinct expressions of energy. Light's relentless pursuit contrasts with darkness's more subtle yet equally powerful resistance. The universe's energy, viewed through this interaction, emphasizes the creation of substance you as the foundational force behind our material world, while mass has traditionally been the focus of understanding energy. This framework shifts the emphasis away from mass, acknowledging the revised understanding of relationships among mass, wave theory, and the observer effect. Here, the dynamic interaction of light and darkness is seen as the true engine of reality, with substance U emerging from their meeting point. In conclusion, the interaction between light and darkness, though appearing as a mere illusion of contact, generates both matter and substance U. This relationship, with light pursuing and darkness resisting, forms the delicate layer of reality in which we exist. Through this subtle, ongoing interaction, marked by both force and restraint, the phenomenon of C emerges, shaping the fabric of existence itself. This dynamic boundary between light and darkness becomes the essence of creation. Chapter 2. Within this framework, the universe, small and precious compared to the vastness of light and its absence, is structured around three primary realms: light L, substance U, and flesh F. These realms interact yet remain distinct, each with its own unique characteristics and purpose within the broader cosmological and metaphysical structure. Substance U plays a crucial role, acting as the spiritual realm that bridges the divine light and the material flesh without fully merging with either. Flesh represents matter and the material realm, serving as the boundary between the spiritual and physical worlds. It is the tangible aspect of existence, grounding the ethereal in the reality we perceive. Light embodies divine consciousness, order, and the spiritual realm. It is the force constantly seeking to manifest and interact with the material world, illuminating and guiding through its inherent wisdom and purity. Substance U is the core essence of the spiritual realm. It acts as a realm of perception, imagination, and subconscious experiences. This essence is neutral, serving as a bridge between the material and divine realms without merging with either. It's within this neutrality that two distinct spiritual forces exist, ULS and UBH. ULS represents one side of substance U, signifying light meeting dark. It embodies a particular spiritual influence or polarity within the neutral essence, suggesting a harmonious interplay where illumination meets shadow, fostering balance and understanding. On the other hand, UBH represents the other side of substance U, symbolizing dark meeting light. It embodies the opposing spiritual force, offering a counterbalance with an energy that emphasizes introspection and the unseen, encouraging a deeper exploration of the unknown. Thus, the interaction between ULS and UBH within substance U creates a dynamic equilibrium where the interplay between light and dark fosters a holistic understanding of both the spiritual and material realms. Substance U is the core essence of the spiritual realm, functioning as the domain of perception, imagination, hallucinations, and subconscious experiences. It is where consciousness both shapes and is shaped by individual perceptions, free from the constraints of physical reality. Substance U is the source of all imaginative constructs, whether seen in dreams or felt in spiritual experiences, such as tactile hallucinations. It serves as the unseen glue binding consciousness to both the material and divine realms, enabling spiritual insights, imagination, and visions that extend beyond ordinary perception. Importantly, substance U is inherently neutral. It does not represent good or evil, but instead holds within it dual subrealms that mirror opposing spiritual influences. These two sides of substance, U, known as ULS, and UBH, are made of the same essential substance but embody different spiritual forces. ULS represents one side, while UBH represents the other. Despite being composed of the same fundamental essence, these subrealms operate under opposing spiritual dynamics, creating a dual nature within the same overarching substance. These two sides of substance U exist on either side of a thin boundary known as flesh, which separates the realms of light and darkness. The point where light meets substance U, and where substance U meets light, is marked by this boundary of flesh. Though ULS and UBH remain identical in their fundamental substance and properties, they are separated by flesh, the material layer where the interaction between the divine and the material occurs. It is important to note that substance U is not merely darkness. While it interacts with darkness, it is not defined by it. For substance U is a neutral field, a spiritual domain that holds both light and dark within it, yet remains distinct from either. The essence of substance U transcends this binary, encompassing a broader spectrum of spiritual and perceptual experiences. This neutrality means that substance U is neither moral nor amoral, but serves as a spiritual and imaginative mirror, responding to the influences of both light and flesh. The film-like layer of flesh between these realms maintains their separation while allowing influence to pass indirectly between them. ULS, also known as the Lazarus shield, represents the positive, nurturing and protective side of substance U. Often referred to as paradise or Abraham's bosom, UL serves as a spiritual sanctuary, embodying the guiding, comforting, and benevolent influences of substance. ULs exist near the boundary where light encounters the realm of a sense of light, with only the thin layer of flesh separating them. It mirrors the qualities of light in a spiritually supportive way, providing a space of sanctuary and benevolence. In this spiritual domain, ULs and substance U together create a harmonious balance, nurturing and guiding the consciousness that dwells within, while maintaining a connection to both the material and divine realms. ULs is not light itself, but it reflects light's benevolent nature, nurturing consciousness and offering spiritual refuge and guidance. When ULs manifests in the material world, it can influence perception, bringing peace, hope, and insight. These experiences often manifest as spiritual guidance, dreams, or inspiring visions. ULS provides a space where consciousness can draw closer to divine truths without merging directly into light. Its influence brings comfort and clarity, guiding individuals toward higher spiritual understanding. On the other hand, UBH represents the darker, consuming, and chaotic side of substance U. It is often referred to as the bottomless pit or a realm of spiritual darkness. Like ULS, UBH mirrors it in form and substance, but reflects more challenging and disruptive spiritual forces. UBH exists on the opposite side of substance U's spectrum, separated from light by the thin layer of flesh. UBH reflects the consuming and unsettling aspects of spiritual reality. These forces may draw consciousness into fears, uncertainties, or conflicts. While UBH doesn't align with light's nurturing power, it remains a crucial part of the spiritual experience. The influence of UBH might be felt through dark dreams, subconscious struggles, or fears that create tension within the psyche. While UBH is not inherently evil, it offers a contrasting experience to ULS, adding depth and richness to the choices and challenges faced in the material world. Chapter 3. The Role of Flesh as the Thin Boundary. Flesh is the material realm, serving as the physical interface that acts like a film-like boundary between substance U and light. This boundary allows both sides of substance U, ULs, and UBH to interact with the material world without fully merging into it. Flesh represents the human experience, where the conscious mind perceives spiritual influences as either supportive or challenging, depending on alignment with ULS or UBH. The thin layer of flesh is critical because it enables free will, allowing individuals to choose between the guidance of ULS and the consuming pull of UBH in their life journey. Choices within flesh can either align a person closer to light through the nurturing influence of ULS, or lead them toward inner conflicts associated with UBH. In this framework, flesh is not simply material. It is a space where spiritual forces manifest, interact, and are tested. The mirroring concept of ULS and UBH within substance U. ULs and UBH represent two opposite yet interconnected sides of substance U, each reflecting distinct aspects of the spiritual experience. Their duality highlights the neutrality of substance U, showing that it is not inherently good or evil. Both ULs and UBH are composed of the same spiritual material, yet they serve opposing functions. ULs mirrors the supportive qualities of light, manifesting the nurturing and protective aspects of spirituality, while UBH reflects the consuming and unsettling forces that challenge the spirit. This interplay demonstrates that spiritual forces are not confined to a binary of good versus evil, but exist within a larger, interconnected reality where free will and perception shape the experience. Substance U as the essence of imagination, vision, and perception. Substance U is the spiritual medium from which imagination, vision, dreams, and perception emerge. It is the substance through which consciousness engages with realms beyond the immediate physical senses, providing the foundation for visions and thoughts that appear in dreams, deep contemplation, or moments of inspiration. In its dual expressions as ULS and UBH, Substance U offers the raw spiritual material through which consciousness forms unique interpretations and experiences. Substance U acts as the catalyst for human engagement with both comforting and challenging spiritual forces, depending on an individual's alignment with ULS or UBH. In this way, Substance U is not merely a source of perception, but the very substance enabling the mind to explore realities beyond the tangible, fostering introspective and visionary experiences that shape the spiritual journey within flesh. The humbling of light and its entry into flesh. A central aspect of this framework is the great humbling of light, where light allowed itself to enter flesh despite the natural separation between the spiritual and material realms. This act created a path for those within UBH who are considered fallen to find equal standing and a way back toward light. The entry of light into flesh was exemplified by the incarnation of Jesus Christ, who, as God incarnate, bridged the gap between the spiritual and material worlds. In his entry into the kingdom of flesh, Christ overcame the forces within UBH, demonstrating a victorious path through the challenges of the material realm. By entering flesh, Christ provided humanity with a way to engage with light directly, despite the inherent separation. This act emphasized both humility and victory, representing light's commitment to connecting with consciousness within flesh and offering a path to transition toward its warm embrace that the dark flees. Chapter 4. The relationship between these three kingdoms can be expressed through an interconnected system, intersection of light and substance. You and flesh, light and substance you briefly meet within the kingdom of flesh. Flesh serves as the interface between these two realms, a meeting point where both forces interact but do not directly merge. This interaction is indirect, as flesh can perceive both, but the spiritual forces of light and substance you cannot perceive each other directly within the material realm. Substance U's role, Substance U, which includes dark matter and imagination, cannot directly interact with light in the way flesh can. It exists as a realm that influences the mind and perception, but is constrained by the limits of the material world. For instance, a person might perceive something different, like a cat versus a dog, but these perceptions are tied to individual acknowledgement and recognition of the spiritual force. Gravitational force of substance U. The force represents a gravity-like phenomenon exerted by the spiritual realm, a kind of mental force tied to consciousness and imagination. This force is not governed by traditional gravitational laws of mass and distance, but instead reflects the observer's perception of the world. This suggests a new type of force, one that transcends the material and is shaped by consciousness interacting with the unknown itself. gravitational-like force and perception. Theory of additional gravity as spiritual force of substance U. The unexplained gravitational forces observed in the cosmos, often attributed to dark matter, may actually arise from the observer's own spiritual force, which originates from substance U. This theory posits that what is traditionally interpreted as gravitational anomalies or unseen mass in the universe is instead the manifestation of each observer's spiritual influence, defining and structuring reality. The observer's own spirit, formed of substance U, imposes boundaries on the material world, restraining, shaping, and even transforming waves of possibility into solid structures through acts of conscious observation, as exemplified in the observer effect. In this framework, the observer is not a passive participant, but an active force whose spirit, with roots in substance U, holds together the observable universe. This force is shaped by the realm the observer aligns with within substance U, either angelic or demonic, represented by ULS, the Lazarus shield, or UBH, the bottomless pit. Thus, additional gravity could be understood as a reflection of the spiritual strength of substance U at work, the collective influence of countless spirits bound to imagination, perception, and unseen power. As waves collapse into particles, the observer's spiritual force serves as the medium for creating and sustaining reality within flesh, bridging the tangible with the unseen in both creative and confining ways. This perspective suggests that the observer's role is integral to the formation and maintenance of reality, with their spiritual alignment influencing how substance U interacts with the material world. The observer's spirit, whether aligned with the nurturing aspects of ULS or the challenging forces of UBH, actively participates in shaping and defining the universe. In this way, the spiritual force of substance U becomes a vital component of the cosmic structure, intertwining perception with creation and highlighting the profound impact of consciousness on reality. In this conceptual framework, the force known as S is initially defined using a familiar formula from gravitational physics. This formula involves multiplying the gravitational constant, denoted as G, by the masses of two observers, labeled as M1 and M2. The product of these components is then divided by the square of the distance, r, separating the two observers. This calculation traditionally serves to describe the gravitational pull between two masses. However, within this unique context, the force S is further refined and expanded by introducing an additional constant. This constant W symbolizes the observer's recognition and acknowledgement of the spiritual realm. It adds a layer of complexity that reflects how strongly an individual perceives spiritual forces. Therefore, the equation for the force S evolves into a new form. S is equal to the product of W, G, M1, and M2, all divided by the square of the distance r. This modification highlights the interplay between physical laws and the observer's spiritual perception. Delving deeper into the perception of imagination, each observer interacts with the force S in a manner that is unique to their own mental constructs, hallucinations, or imaginative perceptions. For instance, while one observer might perceive the presence of a cat, another might envision a dog, illustrating the distinct and subjective nature of their experiences with the spiritual force S. This concept can be represented mathematically as follows. The force experienced by observer 1, denoted as F1, is calculated by multiplying WS and the specific perception of the first observer, termed perception. Similarly, the force experienced by observer 2, denoted as F2, is determined by multiplying WS and the unique perception of the second observer, termed perception 2. In this formulation, F1 and F2 represent the individual forces felt by observers 1 and 2, respectively, while perception 1 and perception 2 capture the distinct interpretations, such as seeing a cat or a dog, that each observer brings to their experience. This approach underscores the profound impact of subjective perception and spiritual acknowledgement on the interaction with and understanding of the spiritual forces at play. The observer effect and vibration theory present a fascinating view of the universe, where the act of observation plays a crucial role in shaping reality. In this theory of everything, or TOE, the vibration theory suggests that every particle, whether it belongs to the kingdom of light, substance U, or flesh, oscillates at a specific frequency. The observer's perception is what folds these vibrations into larger, cohesive structures, effectively uniting physical and spiritual realities into a singular experience. Understanding vibration and cohesion. The concept of vibration in this framework is expressed through the formula. Vibration equals the product of frequency and perception. In this context, frequency represents the intrinsic vibration inherent in all particles that make up matter, while perception indicates how the observer's consciousness actively molds the reality they perceive around them. This interaction between perception and frequency creates a cohesive experience that forms the building blocks of both physical and spiritual existence. Reimagining the concept of gravity within this TOE, traditional notions of gravity are redefined. Instead of being viewed as an inherent property of mass, gravity is reconceptualized as a gravitational-like force that is generated by consciousness itself. This newly conceived force is mediated through the interplay between light, substance U, and flesh. As a result, classical gravitational laws, such as Newton's law of universal gravitation, are rendered insufficient. As this force is influenced not only by mass, but also by the spiritual and perceptual dynamics of the observer. Thus, the force we traditionally perceive as gravity is in fact S, a self-exerted force created by the observer through their spiritual interaction with the world. S is determined by multiplying W, G, M1, and M2, and dividing the result by the square of the distance R. Here, S represents the spiritual force that is intricately tied to consciousness and perception, while W stands for the observer's recognition and acknowledgement of this force. This reconceptualization provides insight into why gravitational forces seem to operate differently in various contexts, as they are profoundly influenced by the individual consciousness of the observer. Chapter 5. The universe in this model is a vast expanse of interconnected systems where flesh serves as the visible universe. It is here that the material world intersects with spiritual forces. Light and substance U exist as metaphysical realms that exert their influence on the material world in indirect ways. The spiritual force S serves as a binding agent, connecting these three realms and facilitating the fundamental interaction between the material and spiritual domains. Within this cosmic architecture, the space occupied by flesh between light and substance U becomes the stage where the forces of creation and destruction, represented by light and darkness, manifest. This dynamic environment highlights the moral and ethical struggles of free will in the material world, where individuals face the choice of aligning with the path of light or succumbing to the influences of darkness. Each choice carries its own set of consequences, shaping the individual's spiritual journey. This theory of everything seamlessly integrates the three kingdoms of light, substance U, and flesh into a unified cosmological and metaphysical framework. It redefines gravity as an emergent property of consciousness and spirit, where the forces of light, perception, and imagination actively shape the material reality we experience. The theory posits that the universe is not just a collection of physical entities, but an intricately connected tapestry of spiritual and physical dimensions, governed by laws that elegantly blend the seen with the unseen, offering a holistic understanding of our place within the cosmos. The theory of everything model presents a fascinating perspective on the universe, highlighting the critical role of the observer in shaping reality through their perceptions and consciousness. This model emphasizes the significance of free will and the complex interplay between divine, spiritual, and material forces. Within this framework, God is envisioned as the ultimate source of light and consciousness, while the spirit governs the unseen realms. The flesh serves as the bridge through which these forces manifest and interact in our tangible world, creating a dynamic system of interactions. Equation for substance U, the spirit. In this theory, we explore the interaction force, symbolized as S, which is determined by using the gravitational constant, denoted as G. To calculate this interaction force, G is multiplied by the masses of two observers. This product is then divided by the square of the distance that separates them. This approach provides a unique way to understand how spiritual forces might operate similarly to gravitational forces, suggesting a deeper connection between the physical and spiritual realms, perception, and acknowledgement. When perception is integrated into the equation for the interaction force S, we consider the constant of recognition, labeled as W. This constant is multiplied by the gravitational constant G and the masses of the observers. The resulting product is then divided by the square of the distance between the two observers. Here, the constant W represents the extent to which an observer perceives and acknowledges the presence of the spiritual force, adding a nuanced layer to the interaction and highlighting the role of consciousness in this dynamic. Effect on gravity and distance. The forces experienced by the observers are described by specific equations. For the first observer, the force experienced, referred to as F1, is calculated by multiplying Ws and their unique perception. Similarly, for the second observer, the force experienced, known as F2, is determined by multiplying Ws and their distinct perception. Within this framework, F1 and F2 represent the unique forces felt by each observer, while their individual perceptions reflect personal interpretations, such as perceiving a cat or a dog. This highlights the subjective nature of perception and its influence on the forces experienced. Observer effect and vibration theory. The relationship between vibration and perception is articulated by stating that vibration is the outcome of frequency interacting with perception. Here, frequency refers to the intrinsic vibration present in all particles that constitute a mass, while Perception denotes how an observer's consciousness actively shapes and influences the reality they experience. This concept underscores the powerful role of the observer in determining the nature of reality and the interplay between the physical and spiritual dimensions, debunking traditional gravity. In this model, the notion of a spiritual force, represented by S, is closely tied to consciousness and perception. This force is expressed as the product of the constant W, the gravitational constant G, and the masses of the two observers. This product is then divided by the square of the distance separating them, offering a fresh perspective on gravitational forces. In this context, S symbolizes the spiritual force shaped by consciousness, while W represents the observer's recognition and awareness of this force. This reimagining of gravity suggests a profound connection between the material and spiritual worlds. Summary equation for the HumbleHand theory of everything model: Lu and F, light, substance U, and flesh equation. This comprehensive equation encapsulates the intricate relationship between light, substance U, and flesh. It posits that the force S is equal to the combined influences of light, substance U, and flesh. In this context, light represents the spiritual realm, substance U symbolizes the spirit or dark matter, and flesh signifies the material world. This equation highlights how these three domains interact and influence one another within the overarching framework of the universe, providing a holistic understanding of the interconnectedness of all things. This theory proposes that the boundary between the spiritual and material realms is formed through the interaction of light and substance U. In this context, light represents spiritual truth, while substance U symbolizes the spirit. Their convergence briefly creates the material world, known as flesh. This framework translates the theory's philosophical structure into mathematical terms, presenting the physical world, represented by F, as a result of the dynamic interplay between light, or L, and substance U, with additional layers for the metaphysical and spiritual dimensions. The inclusion of the constant W, alongside the recognition of perception, introduces a crucial element: how human consciousness, or spirit, can both influence and be influenced by reality. The three-realm universe, Kingdom L, or light, is the divine, conscious realm. Light embodies both physical photons and spiritual guidance, representing a state of pure consciousness, often referred to as the Kingdom of God. Kingdom U, or substance U, represents the realm of spirit, dark matter, and imagination. It acts as a bridge between the physical and spiritual worlds, manifesting through quantum effects, perception, and unseen forces. This realm interacts with light, but is not directly measurable by traditional instruments. UBH, a black hole, symbolizes the void between realms, serving as a paradoxical meeting point of substance U and light. Kingdom F, or flesh, constitutes the material realm, governed by physical laws. The physical body, or F, is where spiritual forces, denoted as S, manifest as tangible effects within the material world. The observer effect highlights that consciousness creates a feedback loop, shaping material reality and aligning with concepts from quantum mechanics, spiritual dynamics in a physical world. The spiritual force, S, influences gravitational forces and shapes reality. This model suggests that consciousness and the material world are not separate entities but are deeply intertwined. The universe's fabric is modified by spiritual forces and consciousness, which actively define and reshape physical reality. Gravitational forces re-examined. Gravity, traditionally viewed as a purely material force, is reimagined as a product of consciousness. Its behavior shifts based on the observer's position in Kingdom F and their spiritual awareness in Kingdom U. This perspective offers a new understanding of gravity, emphasizing the interconnectedness of consciousness and the material universe. Chapter 6. Completeness of the theory comparatively to other theory of everything models. String theory. String theory seeks to provide a unified description of all fundamental forces, including gravity, electromagnetism, strong nuclear force, and weak nuclear force, through a single fundamental object, the vibrating string. It suggests the existence of extra dimensions of space-time, typically 10 or 11, that could account for these forces. However, string theory does not explain the nature of consciousness or the mind's role in shaping reality. Additionally, it is mathematically intense and has yet to yield testable predictions or experiments to confirm its validity. Loop quantum gravity. Loop quantum gravity, or LQG, aims to reconcile quantum mechanics with general relativity by describing gravity at the Planck scale through modeling spacetime as a network of discrete loops. While LQG addresses some issues related to quantizing gravity, it does not incorporate the other fundamental forces into a unified framework. Like string theory, it also lacks explanations concerning consciousness, or the spiritual dimensions of existence. The theory of everything model. The theory of everything model combines both the material and spiritual aspects of reality, proposing that consciousness plays a central role in shaping the universe. In contrast to string theory and LQG, which focus primarily on physical forces, this model integrates light, representing consciousness, and dark matter, or substance U, into a unified theory. It connects the spiritual realm, denoted as L, with the material world, represented as F. This model not only addresses the four fundamental forces, but also expands the scope of understanding to include the observer effect and the role of consciousness in creating and influencing the physical universe. It aims to be a complete framework, integrating spirituality with observable phenomena in a way that string and loop theories do not directly attempt. Explanation of gravity. String theory. In string theory, gravity is mediated by a hypothetical particle called the graviton, which acts as a quantum force-carrying particle. Gravity is treated similarly to the other fundamental forces within the string theory framework, but remains speculative until gravitons can be directly detected. Loop quantum gravity. Loop quantum gravity quantizes gravity by describing space-time as a discrete network of loops, which helps resolve the singularities that arise in classical general relativity, such as those at the center of black holes. It addresses gravity as a quantum phenomenon, but does not provide a full unification of all forces. Theory of everything model. The theory of everything model offers a spiritual understanding of gravity, linking it to consciousness and perception rather than just force fields and particles. Gravity is described as a spiritual force, symbolized by S, produced by consciousness, or substance U, which interacts with both the material, denoted as F, and light, represented as L. This approach allows for a more holistic understanding of gravity, viewing it not just as a physical force, but as something intricately tied to the very structure of reality, perception, and spiritual energy. By proposing that light and substance U converge in the kingdom of flesh and influence gravity, this model provides a reconceptualization that is far more comprehensive than those offered by either string theory or LQG. Quantum and classical realms, string theory. String theory operates within a framework where quantum mechanics is universally applicable, even at the smallest scales, to describe all particles as vibrating strings. It merges quantum physics with the theory of relativity, suggesting how everything fits together in a multiverse with various possible configurations. However, it does not specifically address the nature of consciousness or its role within this framework. Loop quantum gravity. Loop quantum gravity, or LQG, focuses on quantizing gravity without the need for extra dimensions or strings. It endeavors to reconcile quantum mechanics with general relativity, but primarily addresses space-time at the quantum scale. It does not delve into the full nature of the universe, especially regarding consciousness or spiritual dimensions. The theory of everything model. The theory of everything model introduces a three-realm system comprising light, substance U, and flesh that extends beyond the quantum and classical realms. This model unifies not only material and quantum realms, but also spiritual dimensions, demonstrating how light, imagination, and material coexist in a coherent system. It addresses both quantum mechanics and classical physics, while also introducing a spiritual and consciousness-based layer, which string theory and LQG largely leave unexplored. This model proposes that consciousness is a fundamental aspect of the universe, influencing the behavior of the material world and its interactions with quantum effects. Understanding light. String theory. In string theory, light is considered a type of vibration of strings, specifically photons, but it does not address the nature of light as a divine or spiritual force. Instead, it treats light as both a particle and a wave, part of the electromagnetic spectrum, without any metaphysical dimension. Loop quantum gravity. LQG addresses gravity and space-time but does not focus on the metaphysical properties of light. It primarily treats light as an observable quantum phenomenon and does not delve into its spiritual significance or its interaction with consciousness. The theory of everything model. In the theory of everything model, light is central not only as a physical phenomenon, but also as a spiritual force, the essence of divine presence. Light is explained as consciousness. The model links light to consciousness in ways that are both metaphysical and scientifically grounded, connecting it to quantum and spiritual principles. Model links light to
is not just a
consciousness in
physical
ways that are
particle,
both
it is a
metaphysical and
fundamental
scientifically
component of
grounded,
existence.
inherently tied to the creation and sustainment of life, offering a direct bridge between spiritual and material realms. Spiritual dimensions, string theory. String theory does not explicitly address spirituality or imagination. It focuses on the physical universe, incorporating extra dimensions to explain physical interactions at subatomic scales, but does not discuss a spiritual realm or dark matter in metaphysical terms. Loop quantum gravity. LQG similarly lacks a spiritual dimension, as it concentrates on quantizing gravity and describing space-time's nature. The theory does not integrate imagination, consciousness, or the metaphysical aspects of dark matter into its framework. The role of the observer. String theory. String theory does not particularly emphasize the role of the observer in shaping reality, operating under the assumption that particles and forces exist independently of the observer. Much like classical physics. Loop quantum gravity. In LQG, quantum spacetime is treated as existing independently of the observer. The observer is considered an entity that interacts with the universe, but does not directly shape or create it through perception within LQG's framework. In this conceptual framework, the act of creation is depicted as an intentional and harmonious union of three fundamental energies: light, substance U, and flesh. These energies represent distinct qualities and forces that are intricately woven together to bring forth new life. The Creator imparts substance U into the woman, which symbolizes transformation, emotion, and the potential for creativity. This substance embodies elements of chaos and change, aspects traditionally linked with the feminine. On the other hand, light, which is signified by the zinc flash at the moment of conception, stands for order and consciousness, qualities often associated with the masculine. The zinc flash is a pivotal moment that marks the fusion of the light contributed by the male with the substance U present within the female. This event signifies more than just the biological beginning of life. It represents a profound metaphysical design. The union of masculine and feminine energies not only shapes the physical form, but also the soul of the new life being created. As light interweaves with substance U in the realm of flesh, it epitomizes the blending of these complementary forces, resulting in a harmonious balance. This dynamic interaction implies that each partner, by contributing their unique masculine or feminine qualities, along with aspects of their own ideal counterpart, significantly influences the essence of the new being. Consequently, a child inherits more than just biological traits, they also receive a blend of masculine and feminine energies. This balance reflects the qualities of order and transformation, achieved through the convergence of the parental light and substance U. The model suggests that the existence of light, substance U, and flesh as distinct yet interconnected realms is fundamental to the exercise of free will. The fusion of these forces underpins a purpose in creation that surpasses mere existence, embodying the Creator's ultimate intention, or love. This love permeates all forms of life and unites these energies, creating a cohesive and purposeful universe. In contrast to this holistic model, string theory and loop quantum gravity provide sophisticated and intricate physical models of the universe. While they delve deeply into the structural and foundational aspects of reality, they typically do not extend to providing an integrated explanation for the purpose of existence, consciousness, or free will. These theories focus primarily on the physical dimensions of the universe, often leaving the metaphysical aspects of existence unexplored. This theory of everything presents a bold and transformative framework that reimagines the intricate connections between gravity, consciousness, and the material world through the realms of light, substance U, and flesh. By seamlessly integrating spiritual and physical dimensions, this theory proposes that our perception and awareness can actively shape reality, with gravity serving not only as a force related to mass, but also as an expression of consciousness itself. This three-realm model offers a unique perspective through which to explore the origins of existence, the interaction of spiritual forces, and the potential for human influence over the physical world. Chapter 7. If the interaction between light and substance U represents their only means of coming together, then the physical world, symbolized by flesh, serves as a vital meeting ground, the sole place where these two distinct realms can intersect. This suggests that our material reality is uniquely positioned as a bridge or intersection, allowing light and substance U to interact and together manifest a new form of reality. Within this framework, flesh becomes not just a byproduct of light and substance U, but an essential and purposeful environment. The union of light and substance U within flesh brings forth consciousness, experience, and the potential for transformation. Every act of creation in flesh, from biological reproduction to conscious thought, can thus be seen as an embodiment of this merging process, aligning divine order, represented by light, with dynamic transformation, represented by substance. The exclusivity of this interaction implies that light and substance U, while distinct and separate, are inherently interdependent. Without flesh as their unifying space, these realms might remain isolated, unable to realize their potential in the form of living, conscious beings. Thus, the material world is not only the stage for creation, but the very reason creation can occur. It is a space where light and substance U, through the transformative process within flesh, can explore free will, purpose, and growth. If flesh is the only possible bridge for light and substance U, it bestows profound significance upon human experience and the purpose of physical existence. The divine experiment of merging order with transformation within a shared reality allows for an unfolding journey where love, free will, and consciousness emerge as products of this unique union. In this light, flesh may be viewed as the sacred, transformative ground that continually refreshes and redefines the connection between light and substance U, with each new life representing a fresh integration of divine qualities. This perspective not only highlights the unique role of the material realm, but also underscores its sacred purpose in the ongoing creation and evolution of consciousness. Key: S equals spiritual force, G equals gravitational constant. M1 and M2 represent the masses of observers, specifically mind 1 and mind 2. R equals distance between observers. W equals constant of recognition, linked to spiritual perception. Perception 1 and perception 2 represent the individual perceptions of each observer. Frequency equals inherent vibration of all particles and mass. Vibration equals frequency modified by perception. L equals light, representing the spiritual realm. U equals substance U, representing spirit. F equals flesh, representing the material realm. Primary equations. 1. Equation for spiritual force S. S equals G times M, 1 times M2, divided by R squared. 2. Modified equation for S with recognition W. S equals W times G times M, 1 times M2 divided by R squared. 3. Perception-based forces experienced by each observer. F1 equals W times S times perception. 1F2 equals W times S times perception, 2. 4. Vibration and cohesion. Vibration equals frequency times perception. 5. Revised gravity equation as spiritual force S. S equals W times G times M1 times N. 2 divided by R squared. These equations form the mathematical backbone of the theory of everything, illustrating how spiritual and physical forces are interconnected through this innovative framework. Chapter 8. The HumbleHand theory offers a comprehensive approach to the 6 primary characteristics desired in a theory of everything, while uniquely integrating spiritual and metaphysical dimensions. Here's an analysis of how it aligns with each criterion. 1. Unification of forces. The theory proposes a unification of existence through 3 fundamental realms: light, substance U, and flesh. Substance U acts as a bridge, enabling interaction between the material and spiritual realms. This mirrors the central aim of a theory of everything by harmonizing diverse forces and realms into a singular framework. In this context, substance U symbolizes both an unseen spiritual force and the humble hand of God's love, underscoring a divine underlying unity. 2. Incorporation of quantum mechanics. The theory incorporates principles that resonate with quantum mechanics, particularly the idea that consciousness and perception influence the material world. Substance U aligns with dark matter and unseen spiritual forces, paralleling quantum mechanics' observer effect, where observation impacts reality. This provides a conceptual bridge between material existence and consciousness, with substance U acting as a medium through which perception and spirit affect tangible reality. 3. Incorporation of general relativity. In this model, gravity is redefined beyond a purely physical force and is interpreted as an interplay among light, substance U, and the material realm. This aligns with relativity but extends it by connecting gravity to consciousness and spiritual forces. Here, gravity becomes a product of both material and spiritual influences, reconceptualizing it through a combined lens of traditional physics and spiritual metaphysics. 4. Explanation of quantum gravity. By introducing substance U as a unifying force through which both light and flesh interact, the theory offers a pathway to explore quantum gravity. Substance U provides the framework for bridging material and immaterial forces, suggesting that gravity is a spiritual material interaction. Unlike string theory or loop quantum gravity, HumbleHand offers a spiritual rationale behind these forces, connecting material existence with a higher spiritual purpose. Of dark matter and energy. In the HumbleHand theory, substance U incorporates elements associated with dark matter and the spiritual realm. By identifying substance U with imagination and dark matter, the theory proposes a link between consciousness and the unseen forces impacting the material world. This approach ties together the mysteries of quantum field theory with a metaphysical understanding, proposing that the unseen directly influences observable reality through consciousness. Fundamental nature of light. This theory places light as a dual concept with both spiritual and physical significance. Here, light and dark are not merely physical phenomena, but represent opposing spiritual forces that interact and influence reality. Unlike conventional physics, where light is studied solely as energy, HumbleHand explores its role as a spiritual truth, with dark matter as imagination and potentiality, showing how light and substance you repel meet and create balance. Key contributions and distinctions. Spiritual and metaphysical dimension. Unlike existing theories like string theory, HumbleHand makes spirituality a central component of existence, placing light and dark as spiritual truths with significant metaphysical qualities. This approach addresses the interaction between spiritual reality, represented by light, and material existence, represented by flesh, offering a holistic perspective that conventional physics theories do not explore. Interplay of light and dark, the theory's portrayal of light fleeing dark and vice versa, as a dynamic within the material world, adds depth. It suggests that the observable universe is shaped not only by physical forces, but also by spiritual interactions between light and substance U, each having influence beyond traditional material interpretations. Role of consciousness and free will. HumbleHand uniquely incorporates human perception and free will as active forces in shaping reality. It connects the observer effect in quantum physics with the spiritual role of consciousness, positioning human perception as an active participant in the universe's design. This emphasis on consciousness brings an aspect absent from theories like loop quantum gravity. Chapter 9, Outro. Analogy of Proudfoot and HumbleHand. The theory uses the analogy of the name Proudfoot as a representation of dualities, specifically pride, often associated with Satan, and humility, aligned with God. Here, Proudfoot symbolizes pride and human fallibility, while HumbleHand signifies humility and divine intervention. This metaphor serves as a way to understand the interaction between light, as spiritual truth, and dark, as imagination or substance U, within the material world. In sum, the HumbleHand theory aligns with the key requirements of a theory to everything model by unifying realms of existence, addressing quantum gravity, explaining dark matter, and exploring the nature of light. Its unique strength lies in its integration of spiritual and metaphysical elements, proposing that God's humble love, or loof, is the underlying force that bridges these realms. The labeling of substance U reflects this intention, encompassing both the unseen aspects of existence and the divine humble hand that unifies them. This theory invites thoughtful critique, refinement, and exploration. Challenges and insights from various perspectives, scientific, philosophical, and theological, could help to deepen our understanding of this conceptual framework, addressing its assumptions and testing its application to both observed phenomena and metaphysical questions. Such collaborative efforts may enrich this theory, advancing our pursuit of a unified understanding of consciousness, spirituality, and the cosmos. An author's note. So when I asked ChatGPT to form the equation to solve the thesis, it presented the following: LUF equal to SW, which I later, too much later to be honest, realized that not only does this theory non-intentionally spell out a shorthand version of love luff, but it equates to SW, which can be interpreted as spirit world, a deeply personal and downright shocking answer. In closing, my question to you, the reader, is: if that much new life can be generated in the minute field of the material, what might be the scale of the creation after the absence of God and the presence of God finally collide? I propose that the scale of new creation is not even comprehensible to mankind.